Karen Virtual Creative Katie here, and today we're back doing Index Card a Day 2017. We are on card 43. The prompt was lyrics, and mine is called In Memory. Links to supplies in the description box. If you're a subscriber, check the gear and then select the option to be notified of the upcoming videos. You'll get a quick email saying or notification saying that the video is up. So I'm starting with an ungessoed card, and the reason for that is I am going to collage the entire background on it, so there's no need for me to go through the process of gessoing the card. I'm using Mod Podge. You can use gel medium or whatever collaging material you have. You can use regular school glue that's watered down. That, I hear, works as well. Don't rush out and buy something new. Now I crinkled the paper because I want more texture. I want the music notes and I want the texture. Now I'm ripping that off because the words happen to fall right in the middle, and I didn't want that. I just wanted the music notes. I will put a link to my technique tag video that talks about collaging for texture. And I use a variety of papers, and you get little bit different textures and effects. I also show how to some of the ways you can bring out that texture to really maximize it and get full benefit of all the lovely texture you can create. I'm putting a layer of the Mod Podge on top as well, and giving it a quick dry. I find every time I use Mod Podge, it does take a considerable amount of time to dry. It kind of soaks into the paper and the mediums and the substrate, and you just need to allot a little more time for drying time. So after completely drying it and cutting off the excess, I'm just putting gesso in a few spots. And part of the reason is I want the medium that I'm going to use next, color medium, to look different in different places. And also I want the music notes to show up stronger in some places and less in others. And this just pushes some of it in the background. I'm using the Distress Crayon Aged Mahogany. I love this deep burgundy color. It's one of my favorites. And putting it with gold and setting up kind of a vintagey kind of look is definitely a combination that works. If you haven't used that combination, give it a try. Now, if you don't have a burgundy color, you can take quinacridone magenta and add a little bit of black, and you'll get a very nice dark burgundy. Play with, add a little bit of black and then a little bit more till you get that depth of color. Now, because I had heated this up when I was drying, the Distress Crayon goes on really smoothly. It melts and there's no leftover bits. Now I spray it because I want to work it into the nooks and crannies. I want to get solid color, right? And I want to avoid having the white peeking through. And I'm just adding more on the side, touching it up and playing. And as you can see, in some places it's darker and lighter. And I like that. I don't want it to be flat. I don't want it to be one tone. So you can still see the music notes through the medium, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. I like the feel of the Distress Crayon once it dries. It doesn't feel waxy like I've always found the gelatos to. And that just, as a sensory experience, I didn't like the feel of it. So I'm using this stencil and a baby wipe, and I'm just pulling off some of the color medium. This I'm just adding some visual pattern to the background, as well as allowing for some of that music notes to show up even greater. Now on a ICAD, the surface is pretty small, and especially when I add a focal point, not much of the background is going to be seen. So why would I do it? Well, remember, I'm using the ICADs as an opportunity to play with colors, with mediums, with techniques, and I may take this, if I like how everything works out, and use it as the basis of another creation on a full-size page or on a canvas. So if you like what you're doing, I highly recommend either right on the back of this or on a separate sheet, write down the process of what you did. You think you'll remember, but you don't necessarily remember. When I started out, I did that a lot, and I found it really helpful to go back and read it. Now, of course, since so much of my work ends up on video, I can go back and watch the video and say, what did I do? So I'm rubbing gold paint onto the high points with the pad of my finger and the blending tool. Now I know I just love my shimmer and shine, but I mean, you got to admit, that looks lovely. So I'm edging it also with gold, and I'm just kind of blending it a little bit different, kind of getting more of a frame on it. So now I have my stash of pictures and die cuts and different things, and my stash of quotes. And I found a quote that had the word music in it. Now this is from a coil book, and I have some of that I've kept along with all my little die cuts that come out from the stencil. And I really like this for some reason. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to do that. Now this flower I got from Christine, and Christine is a member of our Mixed Media Mayhem group here on Vancouver Island, and she made that flower and gifted it to us the first time we had gotten together. And I love, love, love the flower, and it just looks like it was made to go on this card. So I'm so happy to use this on here. I don't buy a lot of flowers. That's not typically what I create with, but like I said, this one seems like it was meant to go together. So I'm adhering this with gel medium. Putting it down, and I realized that I didn't quite get that straight, and it's driving me crazy, but I'm trying to let go. I'm trying to add more layering to my composition. It's something I really enjoy when I see people doing it. It's kind of, I think, probably from the scrapbooking or card making, which I skipped both of those things, went right into mixed media and art journaling. So I'm kind of finding my way. I'm trying to figure out a way of making this quote stand out And I'm thinking, okay, do I need to put something in the background? So I'm going back into my stash, pulling out things. I'm thinking, okay, well, that heart, that kind of makes the quote stand out. That works. So I'm flipping through, and I've got a black heart with some gold on it, and I've got a burgundy heart there. So I set up both, and I get out my phone and I take some pictures. This is typically what I do. And I'm going to show you both of them. And you can leave a comment as to which one you actually prefer. Do you like the black with the gold, or do you like the burgundy? So there is the burgundy. And there's the black. And quite honestly, I think either would have worked. So I choose to go with the burgundy one, but I'm edging it with black and gold because right now it's fairly flat. I could have, I'm thinking now, crinkled it up, and that would have mirrored the texture in the background. That would have been a good idea as well. Now, if you don't have stuff in your stash, putting something behind a quote, even if it's just the shape of the quote, is a good idea to make the quote stand out. But all you have to do is just put a little color onto paper right at the time. I would have just taken the Inktense pencil or crayon or Inktense Distress crayon and just made my own color and crinkled it up and done it that way. So don't fear if you don't have everything in your stash. The stash is something you accumulate over time. A lot of the things in my stash are there because I make one thing for one project, and then I always have extras because, I want options. So I'm gluing this down. I'm kind of pushing it down, and it's a little bit difficult because of the texture in the background. And I deliberately put it off not straight because this way, that's my plan. I think the dark of the burgundy goes well with the lightness of the flower. Just edging it a little more with black. I kind of have gold there, and I just need a little bit more black to kind of frame it or ground it. I'm tempted for a couple seconds of putting some black on the edges of the flower, and then I say step away. I grab a pen and I'm just darkening up the letters on the quote. This quote came from, I believe it was a Fisker's collection, and they had lots of sentiments in it. It was a really good, well priced. I grab my Jelly Roll, secure Jelly Roll pen, and I add gold around the heart, the dash ... and then I add some gold onto my paper scrap from this coil book. And we're done. Please enjoy the pictures of the final project. I'm really happy with how this one turned up. Thank you again, Christine, for the lovely flower. There's a close-up of some of the texture. It's just yummy. I need to remember to take pictures of the background before I put all the focal points on. See you for the next ICAD.